Welcome to another podcast. Today I will be sharing a story of how I used my conviction to sell more to grow our business. My name is Lategan, co-founder of BizVideo. The purpose of this podcast is to take you on a journey of how we use story to grow our business. Thank you for joining me today. Welcome to today's live. Today I will be telling a story of how I became more convicted, and as a result we started selling more in our business and growing our business. So back in the day I wasn't 100% sold on what we were doing, and I think that's quite natural, especially when you start business. You've got to build up to it. Now, just a little story going back end of 2010, start of 2011. Andre was just finishing university, so he was studying a Bachelor of Business at Bond, and he was just finishing up. At that time, I've been freelancing for about 2 years or so. I finished uni 2 years before Andre. And then one day I was literally sitting there in the car park of a supermarket. Lara, my wife, she was in there doing just picking up a few groceries and so on. And I called Andre because I had this idea. I'm like, man, you just finished uni, let's create a business where we create videos for other businesses. How cool is that? At the time, the idea, was really, I guess I was really excited about this idea. Now, when I called Andre, I remember he was actually in America, so he was traveling with my dad. He just finished uni, so he did like a quick little golf trip in America. And I remember still calling him, and he was on the golf course, and I'm like, man, I've got to tell you this. I'm so excited about this. I had this amazing idea. Let's create a business where we create videos for businesses. And he was on. He was straight away. He's like, yep, let's do this. And I was just super excited, especially to be able to work with my brother and create something together. It's just amazing. Now, obviously at the time, when we started this business, my thinking was, okay, cool. So we'll create, I want to try and productize videos in a way, because it's, if you have a look at all the video production companies and everything out there, it's always very, people don't really know how to go about it, how much it costs, all those things, right? It's this whole it's almost like this big myth, right? And I wanted to make it really clear. That was my desire at the time. So I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to create a business video and sell it for this much. And if we can sell that many, and in my mind it made so much sense. But it was all about us just selling, right? So it was just like pushing out of us and not really looking at what problems are we solving for who. Like, we weren't even sure who. I'm like, everyone needs a business video, everyone. So we can just literally create a video for everyone and we'll be good. And as you can imagine, that was not the case at all. And the thing is, like, I had all these excuses. Like, I remember this one. This is quite a really good one. So back in 2010, 11, not everyone had smartphones, funnily enough. And I kept telling Andre, like, any day now, we're going to break through, because people are not sold on video just yet. So it's our job to sell video and then sell ourselves. So that was kind of my excuse. I'm like, yeah, people they just don't know the power of video yet, And there I was thinking that's the problem, and it was far from it. So as a result, our business was stuck for a few years, right? So we definitely got some business in, but it was not even enough to pay Andre and myself, like a salary just to live by, right? So we had to do some other things in between, so freelance here, doing a few weddings and so on, and everything didn't go to plan, right? Because I thought, okay, within the first 6 months, we'll be able to have a real business here, really, selling a lot. And again, this is what I want to talk about today, is like selling. Now, first of all, I'll just clear up a few things. I always thought sales was a really dirty word, right? And it's, you can imagine, if you hear salesperson, what do you think of? Like these greasy salesmen that just try to, shove something down your throat. That's what you think sales are. And it took me a long time, right? A long time to become aware of the fact that if you're running an awesome business, an ethical business, a business that actually helps people, that solves problems for people, that creates value for people. And I'm going to draw out my perception of what value really means in a second. But if you do all that, then you have to sell. Sales, without sales, the world literally just stops. But if you have that type of business that's good and everything that I just described before, it's your responsibility to sell. And sell does not mean sell, it means you're servicing people. So I was like, whoa, I had this massive epiphany. And I can't remember exactly when that was. It was probably about 2 years ago or so. And when you have that kind of like realization, it becomes clear that, you know what, you have to help people. So fast forward, our business is doing way better than ever. Every single month we grow, we get more projects, we get more results for our clients, everything else like that. Year on year, like if you check out our profit and loss and everything, it's just like massive change from how it used to be, back when we first started, trying to sell the idea of video and then selling ourselves. It's completely different. And the thing is, what happened for me to become, how did I become more convicted, right? A few things. I've got 4 things that I want to say there. The number one thing is just getting more results for our clients. And this kind of happened, even from the beginning, we wanted to get results for our clients, but we weren't really sure what those results really look like, because we didn't really understand our customers too well. And but as you get more results for your clients, you just become more convinced about what you're selling, whether it's a product or a service, is good. And you become more confident. And confidence is key when you sell, right? Now, the other thing is, so that's number one, is results for our clients. Number 2 is not looking at the product, but at the actual value, right? So about a year ago, I got sick of this term value, because everyone throws the word value around just like it's just like a normal word to use. And to be honest, I did not understand what value meant. I thought I did, but it took me seriously about a year of thinking about this. And then one day I was literally sitting on the beach with my wife. It was a Saturday morning under the beach umbrella. Just really, that's my thinking time, right? Because during the week and so on, everything is just wild and crazy, right? I just try and fit in as much as possible as I can every single hour of every single day during the week. And then Saturday, I give myself that time off in a way. Even though it's not off, my head still keeps going, but it gives me a chance to actually think big picture. So again, going back to, it was about, I can't remember exactly, but it was quite warm, I remember, but sitting underneath a beach umbrella, I was thinking, okay, value, how does it actually work? And then I started talking to Laura. And you know when you start talking to other people, you become aware and aware of a few things, right? Because you're thinking one thing, and then as you speak, like I'm doing here, you become aware of, this is a better way of saying it, and you actually find out more about that topic that you were thinking. It's the craziest thing, right? Again, people always say, like, if you want to learn, then teach, because if you teach, you learn more. And anyway, so I was sitting on the sand, literally drawing this out. And I want to show you guys this drawing, and I will be drawing it in a second. And so this is what is value, right? So on Instagram, it might be, I'm doing an Instagram live here as well. It might be reverse, but anyway, you'll get the idea. So what is value? Now, the thing is, you've got two ways. So let's say this is the customer now, right? The customer now. The customer has 2 choices, A, okay, and B. Now, A is either doing it themselves or using the competition, like your competition, or just doing something completely different, right? So in our case, we create videos and stories for our clients because we really believe, and we're super convicted, that if we use stories, people will be able to relate better, it'll connect the prospect, it'll engage the prospect, and therefore our clients will obtain that prospect as a client. Now that's how convicted we are just on that part. Now there's some other parts that we're convicted about, how some other, let's say, products that we actually create for our clients. So that might be our training platforms, where we create a turnkey training platform for our clients. So that might be safety training or something for the bigger companies, or it might be an expert that wants to create an online product that they can go sell, or it might be a offline business. So it's a business that's doing business in person now in one location, and it's around education most of the time. But how do we now take that, make it a digital product, and then share it all over the world? And then I guess it's an extra product, and you can reach more people and you can help more people. So again, we're convicted about all these different things. And you've got to become really clear about, again, what are some of the products, but don't think too hard about the products. You've got to think, what problems are these things? What problems do the product actually overcome, and what value is created? So going back to the value chart. So imagining A. So let's just imagine for 1 second that if the person that you're talking to goes on A and they use that product, they will get that far. Now this could be a measurement of let's say turnover as a result of what you're doing for your client. It might be problem solved. Now it's less time for them. This is the amount of time spent, right? But again, this is a measurement over here, if that makes sense. It'll make sense in 1 second. Now, if we go over to, if they use your product, your service in your company, and you're convicted enough to convince your client that they need to go with you, they will go this far with you, right? So if this is, let's say if this is dollars revenue, we'll just make it dollars just to make it easy. If that's dollars there, right? They will get much more. So if someone uses us and we help them create the perfect story for their business, okay, and it's not just a video, it's where we go in strategically and plan and create a real story, understand their customers, understand the problems of their customers, what makes our client most different and inspiring and everything else like that. And then we go execute it from a strategic level, create those videos and those stories, and then help them actually distribute it and get it in front of those key people. This is what's going to happen. They are going to get a lot more revenue than they would have if they did it on their iPhones or if they got our competition or something, because we don't even see our competition as competition at the end of the day, right? Because we're in a whole different, I don't want to say a whole different level, but a complete different offering. So we can't even, you can't compare us like apples to apples. There's no way of doing it. So that's what we believe in. So if we go now, what is value? Now this is the question. So again, I thought hard, again, imagine me drawing this out on the beach. So if we had to draw this line from where if our client went with A, they would have created that much revenue or whatever. Now in my mind here, that part there is the value. So it's the value is the difference in what you created for your client, let's say revenue, versus what they would have done if they did it themselves, or they didn't do it, or they went with the competition, and so on. And I call this chart that I just drew out there like value paths, because they've got two paths that they can choose. They're at they've come to a point where they need to make a decision, either A, okay, not do it, or iPhone, or competition, versus B, us. So I call it the value paths. And funnily enough, I just came up with that name, so hope that helps. Now, so going back to what made me convicted, right? So again, just to recap, number one is results for our clients. Number two is not looking at the product, but the value that I just drew out there. The third thing is choosing the right clients, right? And I'm not trying to be cocky here or anything, but it was a decision for us to make, to actually partner up with our clients and not see them as clients, but as partners. And if you think about that, who would you go into business with, right? And in my mind, that was, we want to go in business with ethical businesses that do good by people, not ripping people off and so on, that are actually overcoming problems for their clients and their customers, and creating value. Again, what value are they creating for their customers? The exact same thing. Their customers are on a path. They can either choose A or B, be our client. What's that value going to look like? If there's not a clear difference, then we can't really help them, right? So that's it for that one, number 3. Now, number 4 is not trying to sell, okay? And I touched on this before. You know, back in the day, I thought sales was a dirty word. And what I mean by we don't want to sell them, what we want to do is we want to have a conversation and identify what opportunities there are, what problems there are that we can solve, and whether or not our products, so our videos or our service or our business, can actually help them create that value that I drew out before. And if it ticks all those boxes, right? So again, ethical business and all that, and we can actually create them, then we don't have to sell. It's literally just a conversation, and you'll notice in this conversation, both parties get super excited, and you don't even have to try and close them or anything. Closing is really important. I believe that closing is actually super important, that you have to actually close. And I will actually create another podcast about this and my feelings around closing, because closing is a very tough conversation to have, especially for me always. It's getting a lot better now, again, because if I'm convicted and I'm 100% convinced that this is the best thing for my client and that we can actually create that value, then it's going to be my ethical responsibility to help my prospect identify that same value and see that opportunity. And then if it makes sense, then we partner up. So guys, I hope you've liked this episode. What I'll do is this value, if you're listening to the podcast, I will actually post a link to this drawing underneath the podcast, so you can click on it and actually see what I drew out there, so it'll make sense in your mind. And yeah, again, if you like this podcast, please, I'd love some feedback. I've been getting some awesome feedback, some personal messages, because I've been asking for it. So thank you so much. It really helps me a lot. I just want to provide as much value as possible here, and also get better at communicating and giving value. So I hope you guys have liked this. Enjoy your day. This podcast is now available on YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify.